Hi, all right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to One Page Story Extravaganza, episode 158. What? 158? My God, that's more episodes than I've been alive. I got nothing. Okay. Hi. My name's Christopher Runsman. And those that don't know, hi. Welcome aboard. Greetings. Salutations. Come along in. All right. What happens here is I take suggestions and ideas that people give me or crazy things that might pop into my head every now and then. And I do one-page stories and more. Some of the pieces that go longer, and that's fun. And we've been doing this for a while now. Hey, Didi, welcome aboard. So one of the things that's come about is the realization that we are on. This is the 221st page since the start of the year, so we're pleased. Didi says, "Love that Cat Kobiak page." Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I hope that Cat and Jim are good with it. I know Jim said he liked it, but I sent it to Cat, and I haven't had a chance to see if she responded to what I sent her. It's all in good fun. It's all in good fun, you know. So we got Joshua Campbell joined us today. How you doing there, sir? Love the color palette there. Well, thanks, Josh. That's nice of you. Okay. My camera's all wackadoo. Corbin was climbing on my desk and he adjusted things for me. That's helpful. So, so there's the page. It's finished up. I did my typical crazy. I'm going to switch cameras. I did my typical crazy mixed media on the surface jazz that I have been doing, where I put tape down, Post-its, and different kinds of paper and stuff like that on a surface before I start working on it, and then just work flat on top of that. And I like how some of those colors will pop through, and it just adds more some kind of magic to the page. I don't know. And there's Cat Kobiak. Take your time and take a look at them as long as you want on Patreon. But in the meantime, so there's the page as it's finished up. So big thanks to Cat and Paste, who sent me a picture of herself and her paramour, and her willingness to be in the page, and for me to have a little fun, and especially as well to Jim Luan for letting me take a character he's created that somebody else that we each know, a friend there has professed love for, and letting me do a story with his characters and the setting. My intention behind this page was to do a page that includes the burgeoning relationship of Cat and Kobiak, Emiliano Kobiak, his character from Jim's short film Seven Smiles. If you get a chance, watch it. I laugh my guts out at that film. It's so good, and it's the nuances that sell it. So the performance nuances and the action nuances, it's brilliant. So so thank you for the allowance of putting those two things together, and to the two people that contributed to that, and I appreciate it so much. And but the page was fun, and my objective goal with it, like I was saying, is to take this character and the established world building that Jim has done across all of his projects, and to have these characters in a scenario, in a scene, without making any real affectatious change to his grand narrative or even the specific narrative within their lives, because somebody breaking into Kobiak's place to steal his monogram scarf means nothing in the larger scope of his continuity that overlaps these different film projects and animation projects that Jim does. Check out his stream as well, folks, to see what I'm referring to. So let me see, what do we got? I'm behind on things. Let me catch up for a second on our chat. RSC Art, Ralph Contreras. Hi, Ralph. How you doing? Welcome aboard. No Corbin Cam. He's sleeping upstairs, missing Mom. He's sleeping upstairs in her office. Lori's at Mom and Dad's camp. Well, really dig the colors. Thank you very much, Ralph. It's very nice of you. It's very nice of you. Hi, Janet. How are you? Welcome aboard today. Here she is. It's Cat and Paste. Hi, gang. So fun. Did you get the photo I just sent to you and Jim with me wearing my special K scarf? No! That's so great. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, Janet, CFP. Cat's a sniffer? Okay, listen. The comic character that's in this story smells the scarf. It does not mean anybody, potentially real life people, are sniffers, as you've so elegantly put it, Janet. That's Cat's a sniffer? Love it. Hi, Cat, you mumbly sniffer. Oh, good fun. Yeah, so this was a fun page to do because I wanted to do the objective goal, which is a suggestion of Kat and Koviak's relationship. And at the same time, I wanted to do something that didn't, alter the course of any histories or alter the grander narrative that I'm not part and parcel of being in plotting and planning out. And that's a sort of courtesy, I think, that when people do inclusions of somebody else's work or somebody else's characters, they have to be cognizant of the fact that it's not theirs and that they have to be appreciative and respectful for whatever the grand design that the creator has. And so thank you to everybody for being a part of that and for letting me use likenesses and so forth. Book sniffer. Janet's a book sniffer. Look out. Convince me, Christopher. I just sent it via email, but I have 9 email accounts. It's a stalker thing. So you might have gotten it twice from different accounts. Well, only if you sent it from 2 different accounts. Is that how that's how that happens? Anyways, thank you. I'll take a look at it as soon as we're done the stream because I can't pull it up and be able to show it to people. So, but thank you for that. Okay, I got a couple things to show. I brought some stuff out of the old library that I thought I would give you guys a look at. Now, let's start here. This is Ashley Wood. Ashley Wood is a fantastic painter. Adult content. So, Ashley was a fantastic painter, and with simple marks, he makes all kinds of fantastic associations. He reminds me of some of the European abstractionists that I really enjoy. If you haven't had an opportunity to look at the artwork of Anselm, Anselm, Kiefer, like Sutherland, Kiefer. I really enjoy this artist's work, and I've been told a couple times from people that I don't get it. I don't see how you like that guy's work. But Ashley Wood reminds me of, it's great work. It really is, because he takes things and he constructs images and structures of things by inferring that that's what the item is. And he relies on your visual aesthetic to be able to piece it together. So there's this highly gestural aspect to artists like this. And so this is Ashley Wood's work. Ashley Wood's work is so strong and so powerful in how he executes images that I know 2 specific artists in the region that I live in that emulate his style so completely and are completely oblivious to the fact that they're basically painting Ashley Wood paintings. It's kind of like how other people want to emulate other contemporary artists we see in North America, and people want to be Norman Rockwell, people want to be whoever. So Ashley Woods has this thing about babes and robots and zombies, and so he does these huge narratives of those. Tons of stuff to check out on that front. But his paintings, this fake war that he constructs a narrative of is just fantastic. Oil. I believe he works in oil, and he also does ink drawings and the like. But his sense of color and composition to me, even in such an abstract and such a contrived, world of big robots that look like they're from World War II and ridiculous big guns that shoot big round bullets, silly fun. Okay, but I really enjoy his work as a painter. What am I missing? Jen says, I stole Dee Dee's Alan Bunny yesterday. I didn't give one. Went with Dee Dee's intent was. Hello, Gary. Welcome aboard. Gary! Joshua falls on his knees. Okay, so this is Ashley Wood. I mean no discourtesy to the people that are painting in Ashley Wood style and aren't cognizantly aware of the fact that your big robot paintings and World War II guy paintings, but this is a challenge. This is one of the things I talk about when I talk about fan art. And find your own voice, right? There's one thing to emulate, and there's one thing to explore and examine how a person puts things together. But do you, right? I'm a big proponent of you doing you. This is a really fun book. It's got all kinds of stuff. World War Robot, Ashley Wood and T.P. Lewis. So the ISBN 16314-01343. Nice thick little book. It's not quite hernia-inducing, Dee, but if you drop it on your toe, you'll know it. So, okay, next up, some classic fun. This is a book just collecting the drawings of Albrecht Dürer. It's just illustrations by him. It's got some introductions. It's got some examinations on his illustrative style. It's got some evaluation on his mark-making technique and his idea of reflection. I mean, just we've lost something that we don't do this enough, folks. Chris Kahlua, I don't know if Chris is here today, but Chris Kahlua, I really like to see how she colors metal. I know that sounds weird, but it's sort of like when you spend any time doing studies like this and you see somebody who does great fabric, you go, wow, that's fantastic how you've illustrated or painted or whatever fabric. But metal was one of those things where idea of refraction and reflection of light and it's a challenging concept when you first take it on. So seeing how Chris does it with pencil crayon, it's worth checking out. Yeah, but anyways, the work of Albrecht Dürer, just any masters, everybody knows this one, young hair. Any of the old masters, if you have an opportunity to study their whole work, including their sketches, that's where you start seeing the little bits behind the brain cannon there and how they really work. And so it's funny that every time he paints a lady, there's this little, or draws a lady, there's this little piety thing going on. Anyways, this is an older book. I picked this up some time ago. ISBN 0486-223-52-3. Okay? Again, it's got a lot. It's got 81 illustrations in it and a whole piece on it. Okay, so here's some fun for you. My statement today is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up. Ralph says, Ashley Wood has amazing atmosphere in his paintings. Yes, indeedly do. Really, really, truly. And it's interesting to see other people take that and replicate it. It's discouraging to me that they're not consciously aware of the fact that they're just replicating someone else's work. But I completely understand that, because if you've looked at Wood's work and there isn't a single part of you that hasn't thought, oh, I'd like to approach that and try some of that out from that direction. You know, he's just one of those influencers. Dürer rocks, and Doré too. There you go. You're ahead of me. So, Gustave Doré. This is a comic printing of all of the etchings that Gustave Doré did to go along with the Book of Genesis. And collected in a comic form. One of the statement that I made earlier that's above the stream here, the staying focused on the work at hand, that's what we're going to talk about in a few. But the comics need to change is something I'm going to get into as well today. A lot of people don't realize that there's comics like this out there, and that there's people who have in the past attempted to to capture in this printed form some other, traditions and techniques. And, the fact that these guys have taken the time, and this is a company that's doing battle group paper, World War II or True Spy comic. Meanwhile, they're also printing the Divine Comedy or Tragedy and the Book of Genesis. And here's another one. Here's the Book of the Apocrypha. I really want to get the Divine Comedy. I never could find that, but to find both of these was a big master stroke for me. And it's just gorgeous work, and it's stuff like this that I think we need to encourage more people to study. And I would encourage, and one of the things that I think is fantastically, it switched the color. One of the things that I find fantastically reassuring is that it's printed in this form. And the reason I find that reassuring is that some people have a hard time switching from one media to another. I only think that printed books that are purely text without images are the only valid way to read, or I only read the newspaper, or I only read Spawn comics, or whatever their nonsense is. And this is a fine representation, these two books, in my mind, that you can do. It's a classic piece like this in this format. And it's worth its time, and it's worth its weight in gold. I mean, look at that open spread of that. What would these be? Would these be etchings, lithographs? What would they be? Gary says Doré is one of the greatest of all times, hands down, beating nods to that. Hey, everybody, it's Frank Lee Salazar. I have that one published as a color book, too. Oh, yeah, nice. I just, the reason that, I have a couple other Doré books I could show you. The reason I'm pointing this out is as an example of what I'm referring to today. Comics need to change. They need to change, or they should die. And I'll get into that. But to be able to take fantastic works like this and print it in this format might be the only way you get some comic people to learn about Gustave Doré, or the subject matter that he's illustrating, or the techniques that he's employing, or the study of all of the facets that are in these images, the architecture, the people themselves, the gestures, the interactions, the spatial awareness here, the dramatas, all of that. And so we'll talk about this a little bit more. Where are we now? Schongauer is great to look at with Dürer. Oh, yeah, nice. Nice. Yeah. A gorgeous work. You called me? Hey, there he is. Many versions out on these. Have you seen them in comic form, though? They were rivals, and it's fun to see Dürer bury Schongauer stuff using simply woodcut. Oh, yeah. They're amazing. I need to buy them now. You're going to have a fun time finding them, unfortunately. There are the ISBN numbers. I don't need to read them for you because you can see them easily. But I just dropped my cell phone. I'm at the beach, but it seems okay. Is there sand on the books I'm showing? Yes, coincidentally there are. It's that takes place in the sandy area, and well, that looks like they're in the desert. Jesus, yes, lots of sand. Okay, so anyways, these are brilliant, and when I say that comics need to change, what I'm referring to is we need to. I'm just telling stories. The fact that I'm using the sequential approach to do it is only because of the fact that I enjoy the graphic and textual elements interacting. But a majority of the comic material that I see being put out there that has the same generic superhero stuff, or a lot of the same generic mangas stuff, or subgenre stuff like the horror books and the little titillation books with the cute girl in a school outfit that needs rescue from the demons. Whatever the little submarkets are, I think that when you look at successful avenues, like Archie comes in digest formats. They came in sequential formats like this. They come in large collected editions for people to look at. The universality of Archie books across time, because you really can't tell the differences until the last 5 or 10 years in Archie comics. For a good 30-year period of time, you can't tell any differences between all of those works because there was a uniformity of style to it. Once they stepped out of the 50s and they just sort of leaned into having a generic look at how the world works, and then never left the cool jalopy period of vehicles. Once you had that established, Archie books became Archie books. Tintin books are Tintin books. There's certain things but they can cross all these different media markets and different kinds of formats of books and capture a hold of different audiences. And I don't think that some of the ways that we've approached storytelling through these formats has been hardcore enough. Now, there's some change to it, but in all honesty, there's not enough. And I'd like to see more of it. In Europe, they've got that happening. Manga in the Asian markets, in the different cultures and countries that are there, they have a fantastic facility, most specifically Japan and China, over Korea, I would argue, have this fantastic ability to allow people to tell any story in a manga format. With strangely enough, a lot of the same underlying manga principles. So they can have people, having cook-offs, learning to become chefs or sushi artists. And with all of this action and drama in it, like, as they're drawing it, which looks no different than the guy going, and then in the next book of a different title. And yet it works, right? So we need to start thinking outside the box, I think, more and more here in North America, and stop trying to lock ourselves into genres. Stop trying to lockstep things into this way or that way or this way, and stop locking ourselves into the traditional comic format, because I think it needs to change in order to survive. The majority of people that are big fans in North America, I'm a huge fan. I have everything Batman. Haven't a single comic. They don't. They just don't. The majority of people that are the biggest Batman fans on planet Earth have never read a comic. You have people identifiably establishing some of who their persona is by dressing up as superheroes. And how can we not capitalize on that in the book market? We go to the large, opulent thing before we start realizing, let's just generally tell stories. That's why I've shown you some books like POS and The Sound of, what's that one called? The Sound of World by Heart, and all kinds of these different European books that I've been showing, which tell different narratives. One of my wife's favorite books is a comic called Lulu Anew. And it's about a French woman who says, I'm done. I need a break. And so she gets in her little car and she splits. And it's a week. Where's mom? She's gone to the beach because she needs a holiday from her family and her responsibilities. She needs to figure out a way to replenish her tank to just step away from it all. It's a fantastically brilliant comic. I'll show it to you tomorrow. But that's the kind of storytelling that I think we need more and more and more of. So, and then off the soapbox. My husband wants to know why I'm wearing a scarf at the beach today, but lucky for me, his last name starts with a K too. It just doesn't end in K. You're so great, Kat. Okay, this is a book I talked about yesterday. This is Intersections. It's Sean Phillips, who's done Incognito, Criminal, all kinds of really fantastic crime noir books that are being published through Instagram. And he's worked with a couple of different writers over the years. But he and Brew Baker have carved an entire part of an industry of maintaining the integrity of solid, realistic people and realistic situations, and then they can add in additional elements if they want or not. Fattel has an additional cosmic horror element, or I don't want to spoil any of it. Okay, there's so much of the work to read. Duncan Fregado is the guy that Mike Mignola handpicked to take over doing the Hellboy books. And he's done some fantastic stuff for the years. Forgado did the first transgender comic that went, and it was in early 1980s. It's called Enigma. And if you have an opportunity, and if you're all about reading things for our culture, yeah, I hope to heavens you've read Enigma. It's just lovely. And the trans part of it is a side note. It's not the entire key focus of the book. Anyhow, these two guys are friends, and they have a sketchbook. This is the sketchbook. And yeah, Miriam, welcome aboard. Okay, so this is their sketchbook. And so what they do is they take the book. There's one, there's the other. And that's Sean, that's Duncan. I've had a chance to meet Mr. Phillips. Anyhow, Duncan starts the book. He draws right away at the very beginning of it. He draws himself walking into a studio. And he mails this book. So he draws this double-page spread, closes the book, puts it in the envelope, mails it to Sean. Sean opens it up. Oh, that's cool. And responds. And he draws his studio. Closes the book, puts it in the envelope, mails it back over to Duncan. So Duncan does a portrait. This way up. Right? So Sean does one. And this back and forth dialogue between the two of them, okay, goes on and on. And so they've printed this book, which is the back and forth dialogue that these two guys are having. This is a painting on the beach. This is a painting on the beach, right? There's zombies, the inevitable descent in the sketchbook babes, or zombie disco divas from hell. And that's for Grado. That's Phillips. Travel on down to Pigs every Saturday. Fixes a monster. Anyhow, so these, I wouldn't be seen dead in Pigs. So it's just this dialogue back and forth, and they're using mixed elements, and they're using, all kinds of different, and yet at the same time, similar approaches. There's a clearly established dialogue between the two of them. You've got when you're doing things like writing text onto the image, and then the next person's writing text. Here's portraits of a whole bunch of different comic creators. Here's more portraits of a whole bunch of different comic creators by the other guy. So this is, I really, really, really enjoy this book. I love this. Right? Left. Are we there yet? The Long and Winding Road. Fantastic. There's his response to The Long and Winding Road. She wants a mini giveaway as it drives into the ocean. Anyhow, this goes on, and it's a fantastic piece of exploration into different techniques and different two creative illustrators that both work in a similar industry, and how they're doing works back and forth as a dialogue with one another. So if you ever get an opportunity to look at this book, do so. It's a lot of fun. ISBN 978. Am I missing stuff? We used to do these types of collabs till shipping got so expensive. You have to track this type of thing. Yeah, it's tricky. There is something to be said, though, for I know some people that do it as files. Well, they'll do a piece and they'll send that piece to the other person in this digital illustration. And then that person will do a digital illustration and send it back. I think that maybe is the weird modern component to it. But the problem with that is that some of these wonderful different mixings of medium isn't going to happen that way. Like this is clearly a gesso page with this illustration over top. There's acrylic on top of pen and ink. So insert brain here. Forgado's notes are the funniest thing to me. Anyhow, it's hard. You're hard pressed to find the ability to do some of these things digitally without it being kind of, it's more work. So anyhow, intersections. I love this book. It's a thick one too, right? For a book of its size, it's what, 60, 80, 90 pages, something like that. So you're going to tell me without making me count? See, and there's their notes on the interaction, and that's the actual book. super fun. Super duper fun. At a certain point, they have to hold it together with this elastic band because it's just so thick with application. Duncan Figueredo's stuff. I have Half-Life. I really want to get this book, Duncan Figueredo's stuff, at some point in my life. Yeah. Okay. So that's the stuff I wanted to show you today. There's different approaches here to using this format and this medium. There's different medias to push what one of these books can be. That's the problem with in the Western market where we have this term comics, and comics has generally got the wrong associations, I find. It just does. The reason that I'm doing the stuff I'm doing now, like this page, the reason I do it in a landscape format and not in a portrait format, which is what standard comics are in, and I'm switching to a landscape format, is that I want to leave comics. But I don't. I just want to tell stories. And for me, it doesn't have to be part of the comics world. It just doesn't. I think that if we can step it out, the more and more stuff that we can step out of that, the better. This is the zine swap, the first piece that I did. And the way I set it up so that the back and the front, I wanted to be able to tell this bulk of story here, have a funny little insert disruption, the ad, which plays into the set joke in the first part, and then to further that in the second part. There's this fun little anecdotal part on this side. So that's the way I laid it out there. And I'll be doing the next one of these in a different page-by-page folding layout. But it's a lot of fun. I really want to explore things. The next one I want to do, with the suggestions that I've been given from Dee is going to, I want to push panels. I want panels to move into panels, to move into panels, to move into panels. So as you fold and you open, oh, and then it goes around to that side. Ah ha ha. Yee-hee-hee. And then I've got another one that I want to do where, because the back, I want the illustration to go all the way around. I want to be able to incorporate meta jokes onto it. Like, hey, this is the front of the thing. Hey, what are you doing? You're in the wrong spot. Go to the front and then start reading that one. I want to do those little jokes. So I really want to play with this form. Excellent, Christopher, the zine. Oh, thank you, Dee. That's very nice. Yeah. Zine time. There we go. So that was that's some of the books that I wanted to show you, and just encourage people in the zine swap process that you're kicking at it. Keep at it, have some fun. It's just a 3-page story. It's not anything extra or anything more. It's a 3-page story, and there's something to be said for not focusing on the grander part of it and just focus on the immediate. And the immediate thing is the image or the panel that you're working on. If you're doing this business right here, focus on that one. Okay? And that will carry you through to that or these ones. And so on and so on. And so sometimes when people are coming from outside in to do one of these types of things, they get over-invested in the grander scheme of it, and they just don't have fun. So you gotta have fun. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so we've got some suggestions still outstanding. Lots of conspiracy theories are still on deck. I've got stuff that I haven't been checking off, and so every time I open up the book, when Chris opens the book, you should know what he's doing, but he doesn't. But he's pretty. Okay, so letters versus numbers, we've done that. That was another experiment that I did recently that I had a lot of fun with. And I wonder if anybody has tried out the page that I did a couple of days ago where the suggestion was that you can take each of these panels and rearrange them and you'll get a different story. Rather than focusing on a larger story, a larger structural narrative, I illustrated it as a conversation. And the way that you switch that around and your intention And the way that you put that language to it, because there's two different, you can read something and says, do you want to go? That's one way. Or you can go, you want to go? That's another way. It means threat or potential conflict to her. Do you want to go? So when you look at anything like that and you rearrange it, that contextual voice that comes through it, or hopefully that you've implied enough in the art and the text that it comes through. That's the fun part of that experiment for me, far more than saying, Bobby was born in 1902. Well, that's where and then you got another panel over here that says Bobby died in 1693. Whatever. But you tend to believe that the born here and the died here is the start and end of a story. So no matter how many times you jumble it around, you're probably going to end up with those there. So I want to break away from that. That's why I did it the way I did. Anyways, if anybody does try that out, let me know. I'm curious to find out if anybody tries it. It's going to be fun. It'll be fun. Trust me. Okay, I just saw a baker bakes a demon load of bread. I did not write down who suggested that, and I'm sorry for it. If it's you, please let me know. Or dog fights. That's another one. That's a suggestion, is dog fights. The Crumblinator today said I should do a page of a sinister minister from Westminster. Yeah. It's great. It's great fun. So open-ended. Am I missing anything in the conversation? I didn't. Sounds like fun though. Oh, well, yeah. I'm not saying people have to, but if the one I'm referring to is, let me see. I'll pull it up. I gotta open a new folder because I am almost got 200 files in this folder. It's getting crazy. The bit of fun. So that's the one. So if you cut those squares out, they're all the same size. But if you cut those out, you should be able to swing them around, switch them around. Right? That's the idea. Oh, I'm sorry. What a ding dong. I didn't put it on screen. This is the page I'm referring to. Good heavens. When my looks go, I'm dead. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. All right. Okay, so let's get to it. A baker bakes a demon loaf of bread. Somebody suggested in a DM the Grosvenor British family. And I had no idea what they were talking about, but apparently this is a very, very rich family that owns a huge percentage of real estate in England. A lot of real estate in England. So they want me to do a story on them. Maybe I'll have somebody steal a scarf. Okay, so let's just do this baker bakes a demon loaf of bread. I don't know whose suggestion it was. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me just do one more thing before I swing into this. Swing and a miss. I thought I had written down. No. Okay. I want to make sure that I didn't write anything down in my editing book. So. Okay. All right. So, yeah, baker bakes a demon loaf of bread. That's the idea for today. We use a pen, mark making tool that people can see. Baker bakes a demon loaf of bread. All right. Well, let's play for a moment, shall we? Again, if this is your suggestion, please let me know. I thought I would paint today's page. I like to trade things up, to change it up, and to switch what the medium is that I'm using and the tools therein. And I got to go and replace my water so Janet doesn't yell at me. But I will go and do that in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. But I think what I'm going to do is take a couple of different, got some white gesso, I got some craft burnt umber, and we're going to start painting our Baker Bakes Demon Loaf of Bread page. Well, I'll add some more into it. I'll put some more blue into that. You can start giving some depth to that. Here's my paint tray to drive you crazy. Okay, 1 second. I'm just going to go get some water.
Should have done that beforehand, Chris.
Well, I just decided to paint now.
Yeah, that's like
All right. Some guys talking there for a minute. That's crazy. All right, so here we go. Yeah, I've got a really loosey goosey kind of a thought in my old noggin about this. That I tend to approach pages in a very specific way, and that is I just start working on an image. And because of that liberates me from getting too caught up in the planning process of it all. And I look at the suggestion that I've got, and I say, okay, Baker bakes a demon loaf of bread. Well, right there, it sort of tells me how I need to get started. Right? Okay. So, because if the baker's going to bake a demon loaf of bread, well, let's paint the baker. So, I'm going to tilt the angle of it. Maybe I'll just tilt the. Hey, look at that! It's even now. And that way you can see what I'm doing. Hey, what's that guy doing? I'm going to move some stuff around me here. Even if I've got this ridiculously big desk that I built, it still doesn't mean that I have enough space, because I am just, I like to spread out. I've had to reclaim some of my desk though, because Corbin I've cleared off a part of my desk for my second. I have the drawing board here and I have another drawing board there. This is for the stuff that I do for the stream. This is for other stuff that I'm doing. But I've been working flat on this because I'm doing a lot of stuff to put the book together, which I do digitally over there. Confusing enough? My desk is 5 feet by 10 feet. So I've cleared off this side to be a flat surface for doing this other work, which now makes Corbin think that, oh, hey, so you want me to, lie down up here and sleep up here? And he's been doing that all day. But then I heard him crying outside of Lori's office. Blubbering, missing Mom. So we're going to pick her up after the stream. I might bring Corbin in the van with me. No, it's harrowing enough just trying to take him to the vet when we have to do that. So, all right, I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff because I'm not paying enough attention, and I'm so sorry for that. We used to do these types of collabs. Oh, I got that. Real estate prime. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Thank you, Greg. Take me a second. Yeah, it's the most challenging thing to try to keep workable space, and at the same time, allow yourself for just. You're restrained on some level, but on another level, you want to keep it open and loose, and the balance of that, it's tricky. It's a tricky thing. So, okay, let's get down to it. So I've just got this Winsor Newton number 2. It's a watercolor sable, but I'm using it for this because I'm tricky. So I'm just going to sit down and start cutting in a character. Now I know other people have their different methods and their different approaches. I'm making shapes with the paint on this regular piece of heavy grade cardstock, and as I go, I'll chop in other values and put more marks down. I'm not worried about the surface. I'm really not, because it'll shift about a little bit, have some fun with it, whatever. But I'm setting myself up by saying that I'm going to be painting this page. So. Well, this one page does not need more white. It's tricky to rock a rhyme. No, rock a rhyme, it's right on time, but yeah, it's tricky. Okay, so a little clearly, I think I was subconsciously just inspired by Phillips and Frecredo there. When I'm working on a canvas, like there's a piece I have here in the studio that's almost finished, and when I'm working on a canvas, I tend to build it up like this, which is a bit of a random way to approach a canvas, sure, but I'm just finding the shapes and throwing them together as I go. And I tend to put things down fairly thin, so I'm not too concerned as I go with the surface itself. Because however it starts in the beginning is generally not how it ends by any means. Have I shown them your painting? No, not yet. And I'm not going to today either. I try to keep some things a secret, like all of the murders. No. I'm almost at a point where I will, though. So I'm putting in our baker and trying to get some sense of this. I'm going to approach this page vertically, but with horizontally, but with vertical panels. Yes? Okay, it's okay. The reason I'm using this brush that's been pretty beat up is that I've had this guy for years, but he's fun for chopping in marks. But the rule of thumb is this: don't let your grandchildren use your brushes. It's you'll have I'll have brushes for X amount of years, and then or buy them specific brushes to use. I'll have X amount of brushes for years and years and years, and it's almost like just a short path of destruction. This sweetheart of a granddaughter, she goes, "Campa, can I paint?" It's carnage, absolute carnage. But that's okay. She's learning. My kids really didn't spend time in my studio, so the fact that she wants to in the first place it's endearing to me. So I've been showing people all over the planet. Okay. He's not done yet. That's just roughed in. Well, it's further along now, but I'll show it to you later. I'm doing a painting of Robert's Indian motorcycle. Yeah, I guess I'll have to show it tomorrow. So I'm finding these different. So as I put the bones of it in, now I'm bringing up some values in the cheek here and starting to pull up some of the things. It's probably a different way than other people approach it, but I find that this works for me, And in limiting myself to just the two images. I learned this from a friend of mine, an artist that I know here in London named Noel. He's colorblind, and so he does his entire painting. He only uses black and white, or he only uses black, white, and an earth tone. And the reason for that is he can see the different values of white to black and grays in between and so forth. But what he can't see is the color, so that he'll take colors that he knows as are written down, and he knows that these colors represent different things. You know, umber is dirt, you know, blue is water. Like, he has these associations like this. And so he'll go in and he'll stain the canvases on top of the black and white paintings. He'll just do really light stains of value and bring them up that way in order to put color in his paintings. He's been doing that sort of approach for years. And so we were at an event where, you know, we were both working on a piece in 24 hours straight in a gallery for this fundraising event, and we were talking about that method of approach, and I said, that's great. He says, yeah, you have to do it. Switch to that. so definitively, and I gave it a try, and my own weird variation ever since. I've been using a similar sort of method, so it works. I don't think I paint much on here, do I? I think that's one of the things that I sort of leave to the side. But painting and drawing is actually until the last few years, since I started doing things online, this is what I think more recognized for is I've got a painting that's been hanging in the House of Commons, which is Canada's version of the White House for you Americans out there, and the NDP party in their offices, a painting of Jack Layton and Tommy Douglas and all kinds of their different NDP leaders over the years, and that was a lot of fun. Okay, so let's get, what's he missing? Oh, yeah, ears. Let's give him some ears. So anybody has any questions or thoughts while I'm going here? I'm sure this might be a little bit boring. So when I showed you some of these books today, like the Phillips and Figueredo or the Ashley Wood, this application, like putting this rough brushwork of application of applying your paint, words are hard. It's not, that in and of itself is not unique. It's how we go about those marks and what we're saying conversely with our images. That's the voice part that I refer to. That's the part where you're singing your song, or you have your thing to say stylistically and with whatever the material is that you have in your work. That comes through in the images themselves. And so if you're sitting down and focused on replicating somebody else's approach and style, you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay, so this is the baker that I'm painting now. And yes, Didi, I turn the brush around just like I do a pencil. You know, I might do that with with pens and pencils because of trying to keep a point with a brush, you know, and doing that for so long. Okay, so we got some form that we've got developed for our guy here. No, I haven't pulled in another value yet. We'll get to it eventually. Kat says, I'm truly impressed by how you switch mediums so effortlessly and successfully. Well, that's very nice, yeah. I'm so fascinated. My father used to paint like that. If you're just looking at the colors that you're putting down, you're just looking at them as shapes. You're not looking at them with any sort of linear structure at all. If you just look at things as shapes, and as you go through, you editorialize your images. So I would go over the ear here and cut a little mark into that to sort of bring out that definition in the ear or the raised surfaces. Can't see with the hair. Hey, you cut your hair, hippie. The place right here that I'm covering with my thumb right now. You want to make a little mark in there, and that'll define that ear a little more clearly. But in the interim, you've put a mark down to start that conversation, to start that ability to make those marks. I do it with pencils to keep them sharp. You spin them all. I really do. I spin every mark making tool. That's maybe that's my brand. Maybe that's my thing. That's works spins a number of different medium around as he uses them. Okay, so I'm just going to push some marks throughout here, and what I'm doing now is that I'm starting to define his baker's outfit and to start to build up this fabric and his outfit that he's wearing as he's going to be standing beside an oven, right? Why an oven, Chris? Because he's a baker. Why didn't you do the Fabulous Baker Boys instead? Well, because I just thought of it now. Anyways. So we've got our baker, and I want to put the scene around him to illustrate where he is. But before I get too much into that, I want to get into his clothes a little bit, and then I'm going to start tightening all those lines. I think I'll jump brushes to do it, because the flat edge of this, the sort of chisel tip of it, it's a little blunt. It's a little blunt at this point. So, okay, so this is another random shape brush that I've grabbed, just because, much like a paint or a brush marker or a brush paint pen or a paint marker, it has the same kind of a feel when you've got the thick body of it and it tapers up into this random point. So it lets you put some tight marks up there, but then squash it down and fill in these volumes. And that suits my purpose just fine right now. Anyways, I appreciate the nice things you guys are saying. That's very. I'm just having fun. And I don't want to forget how to do anything, so I keep try to keep doing different things in different medium all the time. Because what if I forget? You gonna have a point, or you? This is a larger canvas brush that I've got. I'm trying to find some little brushes. Better bristles on them. You'll do. This is a Princeton Art and Brush Company. Isn't that fun? So if I grab an ultramarine, I've talked about this before. Where are you? Yeah, I asked them so that maybe they'll respond to me and say, well, Chris, I'm this color. Random. What are we at? An hour. We're an hour in. We're doing good. We're moving with the times here, folks. We're hipping with the hopping in. The beat don't stop in it. Okay. Which one was I using? This one. All right, so I'm going to take this blue, which you just saw me put onto the surface, and I'm going to take this. Now, these two together, I like the deep value that it gives me. And at certain points, the blue shines through, and at certain points, the umber shines through. So now we're just defining our lines like I was mentioning earlier. We're just defining our form a little bit better here. All right, where are we at? I'm trying to catch up. Sorry. Dee Dee says, I just do it with pen. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm caught up. Okay, so. You're too quiet, Chris. What are you, focusing? Come on, Mr. Fancy Schmancy. All right, so now, as I come in with this, so we've added this third value. Well, what happens when we punch him into this white and brown mix is that we're going to get these nice cool little hits in here that we can change our planes in the face with. And we're just try to keep in mind some of the structure of the face as you go. So I have not finished the top of his head, and we'll get into why in a moment. But the idea is that he's wearing his baker's hat and he's standing at his baker's oven. So. I could have probably done the big, crazy Buffon hat. We'll get there. So I think that if we get locked into it too long and we spend too much time painting this way, is that it just becomes a big old muddy pile of woulda, shoulda, couldas. So trick is to know when to step off, walk away from it. We're almost there. Okay. So if the idea is the baker bakes a demon loaf of bread, so in this first panel, because I've chosen to paint the baker, we're approaching into the story from the perspective of the baker. And so whether it's the narration of an over voice that says something about our simple baker and his dreams of being the best baker in all of Paris or whatever it is, and then we're then afforded the opportunity to immediately cut in a completely different direction in our narrative, because if we start by having a picture of the baker himself, the next panel we can illustrate him as a little boy and talk about his childhood dreams, or the next panel can be the fire of the first bakery he worked at. So there's some trial and error in his learning how to bake, whatever it is, and whatever direction that we go in with story, we make those decisions, or at least I make those decisions in my process of working on the fly. I allow the organic aspect of it so that it just keeps me going. But I find that I'll be informed in my head, that narrative sort of structures together as I go. And for me, I think that might be one of the reasons it liberates me to work on whatever story at whatever given moment, just because I step into the story and then the story takes over itself and it leads me around, right? It's ridiculous, but I think that might be how it works. Jim says, waving wildly to everyone. Wonderful. How you doing, Jim? Again, thanks to Jim for letting me include a character from one of his short films into the page that I posted earlier today. So I'm allowing some of these previous colors that I put down to still peek through. Just like I've said before, just for that sort of depth, right? It's that becomes like underpainting, and there's a deeper value, there's deeper values in the image because you didn't completely cover them, you didn't abandon them, you sort of incorporated them into the changing composition and the changing landscape of color that you're putting down, which sounds fancy, but at the end of the day, it's just follow the paint. Sometimes the tools that you use show you the way to go. See, there's me getting into the air like I mentioned earlier. Slightly lighter value here, just to raise up that cheek a little bit, so you get the sense of cheekbone being where it is. And then we'll raise the pieces of the nose into our brow, into our forehead. So I start this deeper values and start finding some shades and tints in there, but I'm constantly just trying to lighten it as I go and bring up the lighter marks on the surface. So hopefully that comes across. I'll hold it up. So hopefully we're bringing more form to the face and more form to the surface. I hope people don't mind me doing this, just randomly deciding to paint today's page. If it's something that I think I might have done this once in the last, since the start of the year. Now I've done some painting stuff, but I haven't done it here. And if people would rather I stick to the other methods, I'm fine with that too. Okay, so I'm going to come through here and we're going to play with the background now. So with the oven that's going to be behind him, so I'm just going to cut this shape out around him. And we're changing the sort of tone of this space. And we'll build this up in a second, start defining these lines, but I just want to get this flat value down. You know, with the smallest brush I can. That part that's not, I'm making fun of myself because I'm using a ridiculously tiny brush. So this is the blue and the brown that I'm utilizing right now. There we go. Okay. He says, drawing or painting is all cool and fun to watch, Christopher. Oh, well, thank you, dude. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so swing that around a little bit. I got that pretty cockamamie. And why is this? I don't know. I got tons of light on around me. It's just for whatever reason it's flashing it out. Probably because my hand keeps going in the way. If anybody has professional lighting knowledge, that they wouldn't mind walking through with me to pop that up in the space here a little bit. You know, I'd welcome it. I guess that works better if you're local, but okay, so I'm going to finish pulling this out around him, and then we're going to get on to another panel. Yeah? Okay? Is that okay? Is that all right? Maybe so. So thanks, everybody, for coming out today. We're having some fun. I hope you're having fun. Thank you for, I think it was Ralph. Thanks for joining us today, and all of our people coming back. Just trying to tell some stories here. I really appreciate the suggestions that people are putting out there and giving me. It really spurs me on. It really motivates me to think of different ways to tell these stories so that I want to do justice to the fact that you've shared your ideas. So once again, I appreciate that with everybody. For those that are waiting for Jim's next episode of Hey Man, How's Your Movie Going? He's going to be doing a very special one next week. And it's not my place to give it away, but I'll tell you this much. It's going to be really fun. Very talented guy, that guy. Big things happening. People working on books, people working on new contracts and new projects, and people writing up the next issues, and it's so good to see you painting and building characters and places. Oh, that's very nice, Miriam. Thank you. So we've got some measure of our guy here. And we're going to go now and explore a little bit of the story direction that we want to take here. So we can go two ways, and just for fun today. I don't generally do this, but is there which way would people maybe rather see us try to take this? We can go with the whole, let's do a flashback of his journey to get here, or we can get right into the whole, he's going to bake a demon cake. Is it cake? No, demon loaf of bread. Is it cake? So again, just lightening up those guys. Okay. You can give it away. It's a music episode. Well, okay. Jim's giving it away. He's gonna do live music in his next episode of Hey Man, How's Your Movie Going? And I, for one, am looking forward to that. I think that many of you are as well. You just might not know yet. That's a lot of fun. The whole idea of that is a lot of fun to me because, just to be able to sit down and to play as you're working, and or as you're talking, and sharing about your process, and you get a little bit of pattern music going on. That's awesome. That's good fun. So I don't know. So I usually look up these little thumbnail images behind me. I don't even know what, I just type baker. And here we are. But you know what? Maybe I should actually just stop and go on to the next. Anyhow, let's do that. Getting overly focused on things here. Okay, so I'm going to lighten this up a little bit, make it a little more liquid, a little more fluid. Little boy's hand. So this is me drawing our little flashback scenario from as a little guy. You know, one day I'm going to be a dinosaur. I don't know what you wanted to be when you were little, but that's what I wanted to be. As someone who's been serenaded by Jim many times, I can tell you, you're all in for a treat. Oh, Lord, here he goes. Start singing, Jim. Come on. I was hoping for, when I need love. That's what I want from Jim. Just close my eyes and anyways. So one of the things about painting hands is that when I'm painting little people hands, I tend to imagine them to be thicker than when you're painting a little more bulbous in their shapes than when you're painting adult hands. Now, as adults, many of us have thicker hands, and it's just like my friend Ray's got, his fingers are at least twice mine, and it's just such a great looking hand, just so interesting. But when it's little people, they always have the same sort of rounded, stubby little fingers, and kind of like that, Let's put a book in his hands here. So I'm just sort of laying in the composition with the brush, trying to feel out where some of the shadows will end up being and the like. So a little flashback of him as a little kid. So, playing, having fun. It's all about playing. I'm going to make this roughly the same size so that I can play with this as a uniform space. There's some painters that I've showed some books about recently, like the Wyatts. I think that creatively studying the different Wyatts and the generational Wyatts and their approach to applying an image really helped open my headspace up and allowed me to think about less about the marks and more about seeing through the marks and seeing the values and to see the sections of the image and the spaces and the shapes and the colors. And I think that sort of opened my head up and to not be precious about imperfection. Allow imperfection, like allow, a lack of concern about doing something like this in a previous image just because you want to fill that corner. That, if you need to, you can go back and hit some of these more values over top. It's the point is that it's not. That's the things we need to think about less, and the concerns that we need to have less when we're making some work, and we need to think more about the story that we're telling, if it's a sequential piece. And like I said earlier, I really advocate you trying to tell any story. And by any story, I mean, guy goes to the store to buy some milk. Oh no! All these adventures happen along the way, and finally gets to the store. Aha! Nope, he forgot his wallet. Back to the beginning. Do it all over again. I use that example of story all the time because to me, if that's done right, and I've never tried to do it, but if that story is done right, how can that not be just as, if not more compelling than reading some, existential adult goth piece or some superhero story? How can that not be more compelling? It's just whoever does it and however they execute it and however they do it with their own authentic voice. That's the change. So I've cut the layout. So now I'm going to cut in some deeper values in here. Just a little bit of heavier contrast to take us along. So now I'm working on the direction of he's always wanted to be a baker even when he was a little boy. This is, so we can chase this sort of a narrative of he's always been trying to, hone his craft to create the perfect bake, to bake the perfect loaf of bread, whatever it is. And so that when we get to the loaf of bread and in the description, it's demonic. So when we get to that, it can either switch the direction of the piece. It can either switch the course of the narrative and tone, or it's just sort of like we've laid a nice little row of breadcrumbs to get us to the point where, haha, demon bread, and he's ready to fight it. You know what I mean? Am I missing it? No, we're still okay. So what are we at? 126. Is there, while we're here, we're all holding hands and singing Kumbaya together. Is there anything coming up that they're working on that people would like others to know about? I had somebody offer, this is just random, I know, but I had somebody offer to serve as a moderator to help me out with my channel. And I said, well, but do you know what I'm doing? Like, do you watch the channel? No, not really, but well, because I was telling them about what a moderator is and how that's so facilitative that it lets you focus on other things than all the things you worry about when you're doing all of the sort of kit and caboodle. And oh man, we could do this sort of thing and this sort of thing. What time do you do it? 2 o'clock each day. Can't do it. It was like a good, sent me a message. We were just chatting on the phone after that. It was like a good 5-10 minute conversation of, oh, this, and it could be that, it could be this. Nope, wrong time. I was like, why didn't I talk about that up front? Now we got all these great ideas together that were just not going to happen. Okay, so this is leaning more into that blue. So we've established the rules here that we're using to the three principal colors and all the values that we get out of them. So carrying over into this blue in the next panel isn't actually structurally altering anything, or it's like such a different color shift. It's not. It's the same color system. I mean, we can go farther with that and actually take this blue and apply it into that image more directly. I think we might, but we'll be doing it in the sense of the background and not in the foreground. So a little punch up, a little switch up. I've got the song Honey Pie by the Beatles going through my head here. Coming in with this light value is sort of fun. It's that tonal shift, so where we're going into these lights, predominantly blue, as opposed to this mid-range value system, which is predominantly rooted in the umber. So it's kind of changes the game a little bit. Maybe the right person looks at it. Oh, I like blue. It changes the emotional impact. You hope. Yeah, so my paintings have ranged in size over the years from, like 4'6" to inches to 9 by 18 feet. I did one recent in the last few years. It's not even the last few years. It's been a while doing that big. Even before the virus, I like the way Didi says it. I had decided I didn't want to work that large anymore. Okay, so now I'm adding more white into that. And as much as we're trapped in this limitation that we've assigned to ourselves, you still want to find a nice difference in the colors that you're using. Little pokes of little light and little dark areas into into things. Usually keeps the eye moving around. I'll hold this up in a second for into the frame, if that helps. Okay. So while it's the same chromatic system of these three colors, you know, we've got an emotional change by the value change that happens from here to here. A brighter image, brighter values, brighter ideas. You know, this will be like an intermediate. We'll get nice and dark at some point. But just for simplicity here, the three colors that I'm using, I'll put it 3 squares down. So the three colors that I'm using is a Artist Loft blue, brilliant blue. And so that is the mainframe. Yeah. So that's this guy. Okay. So that's our first one. If you want to try to replicate these three and try to put together some images with them. Now this is the Crafters Decor Art Burnt Umber. Okay. And then that's there. So it's really fun to me, and I'll hold this up in a second to make it more clear. And this is just a white gesso. Okay, so it's really fun to me that we can take these two values and start pulling so many different tones out of it. It's really fun to me that we can take something like this and get these different dark kind of, sort of like a cool charcoal cover or color. Good heavens! Very reminiscent of a charcoal color. See, I said I got it. And I kind of like that we can take these three tones and do stuff like that with. So it's a little more contrasty here in this old image, really playing up in that really saturated early color photographs, while still rooting everything in the same sort of values. What do we got? Gary says, as someone who's been serving, I gotta get that. Gotta go. Everyone have a great day. Hey, thanks very much for coming and hanging out, Jim. Art looks fantastic. Oh, that's very nice of you. I appreciate it. He's a good guy, that Jim. I saw him wrestle a bear with his bare hands one time. Oh, wait, no, I think that was Bear Hall with his bare hands. Oh, well, you know what I mean. It's all the same. So when I'm putting down these flats like this of color, I'm thinking about the plane. I'm thinking about, well, this part of the arm can be one flat field as it moves across. And this part of the arm can be one flat field as it moves across. I want to give a little bit up underneath here for the idea that that's skin into the fabric. And then we'd be doing the same thing up into there, right? So as soon as we start thinking about those relationships and how this surface of this is higher up than the surface of the leg, so therefore it's going to put a shadow down onto it if our light source is expected to be above. It gives us some knowledge about, you know, shadows under the chin or under the neck or under the nose, and we're sort of informed in kind of a clear way about where our shadows need to go in this way. I come and go like a shadow, like a dream. No one knows whether I am real or not, here or not, until you feel my breath on your neck and my voice from the shadows saying, "Nah, needs more blue." I flit. We all read things different ways. That's how I read that. Very elegant, Robert. Okay, so, and then I'm thinking about how there'd be a cast shadow under the leg down here. So I want to get some of that defined in here. Now, if sometimes people will jump another color in along the way as they go, but you find you have to go back and rework a whole bunch of things if you throw another one in. It's pretty much how I intended. I wisp. So long, farewell. Goodbye. This is stuff here. I imagine in all the space below to do a one scene on it with clients, baked goods in the front and the view from the desk. That's a great idea, Miriam. That's a great idea. So the suggestion for the page is baker bakes a demon loaf of bread. Now, if I'm drawing, if I'm painting X amount of panels going through different points in his life, I can do that with the client's baked goods, the view from the desk, but I gotta make sure I have that demon loaf of bread in there. But that's a fantastic suggestion for how that final span can work. You know, I also, because I'm going about it as I'm going about it, I'm not forcing myself into a confined space here. If I find that I need more panels, my goodness, there's another piece of paper under there. And but this whole cross, this wide panel idea on the bottom is pretty good. I like it. I like it. All right, keep on with the one you're working on. You ain't got no time for monkeying around there, fella. Get yourself going on, there you are. Start to define that palm a little bit now in those marks. Think about those raised parts of the forearm or the hand here. We've got, as we're older, we see more evidently the shapes in the top of our hand. Kids, not so much, because they, again, tend to have those thicker fingers, thicker hands, thicker arms, more bulbous shapes to them. Certainly find the shoes a little more. Not too much more. We're not too worried about all that yet. We can add some information between them. All right, what time are we at? It's there are too much comics in my life. Oh, I'm sorry. People don't know if I'm real or not. I could be AI. I could be a fever dream, or possibly even a visit to Taco Bell have gone wrong. We may never know. Batman vanish. I like that. Batman Vanish. Oof, descriptive exit. That's similar to how I throw smoke bombs and shout, "Smoke bomb!" as I leave rooms. Nobody appreciates that. Nobody appreciates it. Oh yeah, 142. A few more minutes. Let's just get some more of these shapes down. So the way I did this blue is to give more of that brilliant blue value, as it's called, brilliant blue pigment on the brush. What, Corbin? Is that Baby? That's Baby. So Baby has a doll that I gave her when she was a kitten. It can fit in my hand. She's 14 years old now, and she still carries this around. It makes this hollering sound if she does it, but she brings it to wherever Lori is and tries to get Lori to babysit for her so she can go sit in someplace else or look out a window. It's like she's bringing her toy to be babysat. And when mom's not home, they got to sell for dad. I hate when you do that, by the way. If I'm going to whisper on your ear, you need to get a haircut. What colors did you put on the plate? Okay, so this is just a white gesso, okay? And this is a raw umber? Yeah, it's got to be an umber. Or burnt. I'm sorry, it was the wrong kind. It's a burnt umber. And this is a brilliant blue, it's called. But it's kind of an ultramarine. But just, we'll go with the brilliant blue, as it says. Now this is Artist Loft. This is the Decor Craft paint. And this is, like I said earlier, white gesso. If you want to use those three values. So I'm just going to come through with these hits here. And yeah. So anyways, when I was talking about earlier, just to go back to for one last minute, I'm a big advocate of us. There's things about engagement, like some of these zine ideas, or there's a great deal of people that make zines. Zines are a little bit easier to make than comics because comics are the expectation is for them to be more labor intensive because they're larger pages and because they're, but the truth is that zines, these little comic-y zines, they're really just highly editorial sequential pieces. And I think that it's the right direction in thinking for an industry to start considering, is that we need to start. These corporate entities don't care. They don't care. They're going to do their thing, and it's going to be facilitated from people watching the movies and wanting to continue that experience or those narratives, and they'll chase it down in another form. And so that's how you can sell some comics, but you're not going to get those people into a comic shop otherwise. But what can we do in an industry that changes the name of it and the structure of it to get more people that aren't going to look at it in its typical comic form? Well, how can we push these approaches into different ways? And I think that trying to use different mediums when we're working, and trying to tell different stories when we're working, and trying to visually represent them in different ways is steps to start changing this dialogue. I'm trying to think of, I can't remember who it was. It's a great American writer. It's like a Hemingway or a Salinger. I don't know specifically who it was, and I apologize, but I remember the meat. And the meat was people try to label them as a great American novelist. And he argued against this. I think this sounds like a Hemingway argument, but he argues against this. He's not a great novelist. He's a writer. He writes. It's not that he specifically is only a novelist. He's a writer. And I like that. I like the idea of breaking out of those buttoned in, pigeonholed modes of thinking. And although you can't take umbrage about it, you can't be all, I'm offended. That's not how I identify. Whatever. That argument fits in other things, by the way. But because you just can't expect people to know how you want to be addressed on it. But I think if we actively start doing things beyond just the expectation of comics and cartoons, I hate the term cartoonist, because if you're a writer artist, you're not a cartoonist. There's very specific type of sequential art is cartooning, and it's not comics. It's not traditional comic books, but a lot of people follow those kayfabe guys, and unfortunately, their translation of that is wrong. But I think we need to step away from those old modes in the first place and allow ourselves to be storytellers and allow ourselves to look at opportunities like zines and comics as a viable vehicle for us to tell whatever random stories we want to tell. So I hope if you get the opportunity, you give it a try. Give it the old college 1-2 punch there. Yeah, the old, hey, how's your father? The old, here, coming at you. The old swing for the fences. Okay, well, we're building this up. It's coming together. So yeah, I hope that people consider trying to paint a story, and whatever level of complexity you approach it in, or don't, but whatever level you approach it in, don't be too caught up about it. I want to do it highly representational. Then it's going to take a lot of time. I want to do it, very primitivistic and basic. Just then go at it. Whatever the different style, the different form you want to try to tell stories using paint as your medium, just go at it. Have some fun. Make some mistakes. If a panel isn't working, you feel like you've really chunked it up and you can't reduce it back, then do it on a different piece of paper. We live in an age now where we can work on whatever amounts of material in a traditional sense, scan them into robots, and then take time within those programs and the robots to cut and paste those things together and to make them fit the way we want them to fit. So you shouldn't lose the babies with the bathwaters, right? Okay, so I answered everything. I slink. Nice. I glide. Like that. That's how I do it. And it makes a sound. No, I kick a door open. Hey, how you doing, everybody? Another creative stream, Christopher. Have a good evening, guys. Thank you very much, Dee. Thank you very much, everybody else, for coming on out. I hope that, I don't know, this different kind of approach to things is interesting. And if anybody has any questions, anybody has any suggestions or ideas that they think can be a short story, or if anybody has any perplexing dilemmas, let me know. You can put it in the comments. You can put it in the comments for the video. You can DM me. You can do whatever. I appreciate people are DMing me more with thoughts that they don't feel comfortable to express in open conversation. So yeah, no, please, by all means, feel free. In the meantime, I am going to go and pick up Lori and bring her back home from her folks so she can get a little bit of rest and get recharged. And in the meantime, I'll be back at 2 p.m. EST tomorrow. And I hope everybody gets, plugging away on whatever it is they're working on. And I will see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye for now.